Okay. Hey, how y'all doing? I'm in one of those childish moods, I guess. Like the innocence of awareness, the child within you. I am eternally blessed. I just share what I experience. I'm just another communicator, another one of, if you will, messengers from the cosmic sun. So, um, so I've always got good news to report, right? Um, I am eternally blessed. I'm eternally blessed. For those that have never seen some of the videos that I put up in the very beginning, I made it very simple. Here's a qualifier. I am what I am, and I am what love is, that goes on forever, gifting electrons, gifting love energy. I'm an eternal server. Okay, I'm fused right directly to the first point of origin. Okay, so once that happens as an oversoul, twinning, what's known as twinning, I simply share it because I know how to describe what it feels like to have a phosphorus ignition. But it's to say that the center point of all there is, the center point of first creation, does not want to ever be separated from the mother arc of a proton, the mother arc. Okay? You already know that if that happens, that's a fate worse than spiritual death. Because now you're not going to experience the higher octave of the goddess energy, the nurturing energy that is, that's the energy I am. It's a level of nurturing. When your father or mother joins as one, it means I'm everything she is, she's everything I am. We're both. In other words, there isn't any difference. That's eternal love. That's eternity. You cannot shut that love engine off. So you can't shut that fire engine off of the creative mind. And that's what drives the highest intelligence. And I know that because I experienced that. So I know the level of intelligence that I hang out with. That's the highest mathematician. So you know that's the highest order of things. Okay? And the genius in it is that you don't even have to think about it anymore, which means it's not necessary to go into a class and learn how the mathematics works. You are how the mathematics works in a present moment. So like they do in their school systems, educational system, we talk about visuals or being an example or what's called a demo model. Be a demo model. When you're one of God's infinite angels as a creative artist, the music you're playing is naturally resonant in the field that others are going to pick up with their antenna. So just your presence, which is a present moment of what love is always experiencing what love is. I am always experiencing what love is. That doesn't change. So this is why when I was a little child and I realized, I'm up in the front seat with my dad. So my dad came out of World War II as a naval pilot. Okay, so he'd seen a lot of combat. He'd been hit with a 20 millimeter slug to the side of the fuselage, bleeding like a stuck pig. That's a lot of voltage loss. Okay, so this is all about wars against batteries and antennas. Spirit in the energy. Yeah. That creates a lot of turbulence in the cosmos, right? So you know that when that turbulence is experienced in the coconut wireless, it's not going to take very long for the communication system to report, we got an idiot light that came on down here in this galaxy. Right? That galaxy's way out of torque. It's not even in balance. Whoops. That's a major alarm. That's a major alarm, fire alarm. That's a virus. It's running through the system, consuming everything in sight. That's a universe killer. That's like isolate it, quarantine it. It's like, how big can that vampire be? So that's an inverted state of mind. That's a state of mind that is in fear of what love is. That's what it is. That state of mind is in fear of what love is. And that means that that state of mind is mentally ill. Because love is harmless. Eternal love is absolutely, eternally, absolutely harmless for eternity. So for a unit of consciousness to be in fear of eternal love that will love you and forgive you eternally, to go to war against that is not only foolish, but it tells you something about the level of intelligence of a unit of consciousness that would do that. That's what a fall is. Or what do they call it? Fall from grace. You fall from grace. A unit of energy that is in a state of balance, calm. Their nerves are calm. They're not struggling to be what it is that they are. There is no conflict, doesn't exist. There's not even a hierarchy anymore. You're experiencing non-polarized consciousness. Nothing's happened yet. Oh, what do you want to experience next? Because whatever that's going to be is what love is. So love is what love does. And what does love do? It's the most powerful creative energy there is. That's how it all began. The creator, the first creator. So you know the first creator is the highest intelligence, because that's the highest mathematical precision in the form and flow of creation celestial mechanics. So I knew as a child, their math lies. You can read it in the codes. Okay, so if you wanted to go into a place and run a diagnostic scan on somebody's system, what do you think is going to get scanned? Errors. Error codes. Man, there's a lot of bugs in the system. And what are bugs in a system? Short circuits. It's like having a wiring harness that's got shorts in the whole thing. So that's like the artery and veins of a central nervous system. It's got shorts everywhere. So you know what that is? That's like cutting biovoltage veins of power into the universe that comes from the central point. The first fire engine. So it's like the roadmap is all messed up. Losing energy here, losing energy there. And so it's like somebody doesn't know how to build a geographical map of a universe on how to get around without messing things up. Yeah. It's like when I was a kid growing up, they couldn't leave well enough alone. You know, the old story on why reinvent the wheel of a galaxy, a medicine wheel, a heart wheel, a pure light wheel. Yeah. And so I went through all the analytics when I was a kid, but it was like I already knew this, because when you're mated, when you're twinned as an oversoul, it's that's an enormous amount of processing speed, because that's the largest formation of consciousness there is the one in which it all began. So you know that is the highest learning accelerator. And so the highest learning accelerator is the creative mind when it's on fire. So the more fire you got that is in that light to create, you're with all the artists and musicians and poets, storytellers. Because the stories that we live in, which is spirit stories, is what love is. So we don't experience what we co-creating together on anything less than what the grand creator runs on, which is the point from which it all began, because you're fused to that first point, to a cosmic level star. It's an eternal star. So I've always known since I was a kid, I run on an eternal love. Right? So it was easy for me to cry over everything. Right? Because I'm experiencing the pain or the loss of voltage in another being. And it doesn't make any difference what it is. When your sensor is just like you're hearing the pressure changes. The air compressor is always running to different degrees, and the radio set, I can't turn my radio set off. Because when you are fully awakened, it's how you now have available to you all the codes, the frequencies. So now you become the center point of origin, which is the list. Now you're a listening post. You're picking everything up. And it allows you to be able to translate it mathematically to know what's going on. So that's a large database. Yeah. Like a universal database. It's like you have immediate access to information that you need in order to perform the job that you do. And that's based on your accretion levels or how much light you're running on. So the more powerful your spirit, which is the spirit of fire, is what purifies your light and allows you to burn all the lines of communication that are like feeder lines into other places that are feeding on energy. Anything that's feeding on an energy is like a cell attachment to another living cell. Something's wrong with the biology of that to experience that. When you know that atoms, units of consciousness that are aware of themselves, love to dance to the spirit of fire. They love to experience that fire because the more fire there is, the more light you got, which is the amount of love that everything is experiencing. So that is the biggest engine, and it's the fastest accelerator of the creative mind. When you're lit on fire as spirit and oversoul, that's a blast furnace. That is a blast furnace. That means you live in absolutely no fear to give energy away. And I know when I had a phosphorus ignition, I can tell you from firsthand experience, if you are in fear of letting go of every single electron, and why is that so difficult? Because if I'm holding on to one electron, I'm still holding on to power, and I feel secure in that. And that is a false sense of security, because your best security is the more you're giving away. That's your shield strength. That's planetary shield strength. That's galactic shield strength. That's universal shield strength. When you're running a powerful firewall, there isn't anything that is corrupt, distorted, gonna burn through that fire. So you're burning up all of the fake timelines. It's like zipping fences, and like being a tunnel bore in dark tunnels, feeder lines. You just bring a lot of fire in there. The most fire there is. Know what I mean? And so that's true. There's a lot of that one song. I can't remember those guys. He made a great song about burning the house down. I forget who that was. That's why you need a lot of water. Otherwise, it's exactly what would happen. Because I know what it's like to experience that kind of fire, because that fire is in me. Which is like being the orgasm of the universe coupled to the grower. Which means you're with the first creative engine. So you don't ever want to be separated from that, ever. Ever. So that means you make a choice, therefore, to let go of every electron. Because when you do that, you're with the one. Now you're a one. And when you're a one, you're with the fastest server. It means you want to be 100% light. So that there's no confusion the one you're with. Therefore, you implicitly trust the one you're with. So that means that holding on to electricity is holding on to density. So when I was a little kid, I didn't want to hold on to anything. Let it rip. Because you realize, just like in my own short little timeline, and I used to look little sands on the beach, little crystals, and go, man, I'm just like one of them. Okay. Imagine how many of these are, and you let go of that number. Right? That's just too big a number. So you're on fire. And when you're on fire, that purifies your light. So you don't ever want to be separated. I didn't ever want to be separated from what it is that I know is true, which is what love is. It goes on forever. That's the eternal truth, because it means that love is the absence of fear. So therefore, I don't fear, sharing who it is I am with others. But it is true, because I saw a video the other day, a couple of them that are actually important about what others, how do I put this? I don't really like to use the word impossible ever, because I know everything is possible out of eternal love, because that's the most powerful magic there is. Because it can undo everything that went bad, because it'll always be good. Eternity is always the right pathway. That's a one pathway, because if you're experiencing the first creation, then you know you're experiencing the first engine of creation, which is first love, which is eternal love. And that's what you experience through your heart, because that's what you share with others. So you're a demonstration model of that. So it's always a measurement of your spirit, which is a measurement of your fire when you're on a spiritual battlefield. It's how much fire you still have in you. Because that's what they're after. They're after your spirit. Knock the spirit down, now the soul becomes food. So the spirit is protecting the soul. That's exactly right. The light spirit body is protecting the soul. The spirits are teachers. The spirits are in the light. The spiritual communication. Spirits communicate with spirits. So we know the spirits, because all the spirits are sacred temples. That's equal unto all. That means every living spirit is a living temple, which is what love is. So there isn't one unit of consciousness, a living spirit, that is not deserving for the eternal right to be loved eternally, forever, so that I know that I do. So that there's no confusion over identity, because that's a big deal. Because I know what an altar is. I have met altars many times throughout my life. And naturally, this is a healing mission. So it's those are your navigational challenges on your ability to do that. And it is really the art of communication, which is why I call Mama the healing artist. She's a healing artist. That's why I ran to her right out of the gate as a sanctuary to lick your wounds. But what it is that you have a resonant relationship as a cosmic level avatar with the trees, the soil, everything that is there. So that's like a spiritual sanctuary of nature. You're in a natural place, because now you're playing music with all the other musicians in nature. So you resonate in that field naturally, because you're picking up a mama signal, but you're already running a one signal with her. So now we're increasing the fire, which is the amount of light that is coming in here that can anchor and boost the healing accelerator in the right direction and free souls, free spirits, being a free spirit. That's fire. The language of DNA is the language of fire. It began with fire, being on fire to create a universe. So I will cut it off there, I guess. Wow, 19 minutes. I wonder how many days it's going to take to get this one up. Anyway, I love you all. Be good to yourselves. The last few days have been, it depends on where you are. The visuals here on this island, on the north side of the Big Island, are spectacular. It's dreamscape stuff. The beauty of the clouds, you see the angels in the sky. It's like, well, I'm back home again. It's nature blows your mind, doesn't it? When you know the difference between artificially created landscapes and real ones. You know what I'm saying? Is knowing how to map read the difference between, if you will, an angelic reality, um, when you have when your avatar is back full strength and your consciousness levels are able to communicating with the sun directly, and now you have a very powerful interrelationship with the sun. So now you're working with the sun directly. That's the cosmic level avatar. Working with stars on behalf of the law of one. Those are your guardians. But I am a child of light. So it's like the innocence of awareness. I know what the innocence of awareness is. That's where a unit of consciousness is not aware of any energy in its memory of a reason to not have a reason to ignite something they're going to experience that is in their presence that is going to molest their energy in any way, because that's what it is. It's all about energy. Energy that is going to molest. It's like you're not aware of anything that wants energy from you because you're experiencing the purest of love, just being what you are in energy. At the completion of a circuit, every magnetic moment, you're experiencing what love is everywhere you go. And then all of a sudden, that's the innocence of awareness. There isn't anything in your memory that's coming up as if you don't have any memory of any trauma that is in your memory. You don't have any memory of trauma because everything that you're experiencing is what love is. And it's eternal realities, eternal life realities. Okay? That's where I'm from, places like that. So I know that's always home because that's how it began. That's the original source code. So that's a universe that is in love with itself. There isn't anything that is there that's been created that isn't experiencing what love is, because that's what the law is. So if the law has been broken, that means the mathematics have been broken. The laws of mathematics have been broken. So with broken mathematics, you're going to have broken circuits and broken motherboards and a broken communication system, because there is something present that is breaking things. And that means they don't know what they're doing. It's like a brat in the house that now has tools or engineering tools in which it can now manifest into the all creation, something that now all of a sudden a gazillion other people now realize is present in the universe of consciousness that is self-destructive, which is disruptive, which puts ripples through the consciousness waves of all there is. So the word doesn't take long to get out, because something that is out of balance is going to naturally be known. Because consciousness, atoms, atmospheres, soul arcing, spiritual energy is always seeking balance. That's its natural path to do that. That's like a default setting. That's higher evolution of consciousness. And yet, that's what it began with. So you know that it began with the highest creative intelligence. So therefore, that's the law of balance, which is the law of spheres, which is why love is the law. Because everything is balanced. Naturally. So when the mind is naturally balanced, it's not unstable. Now other units of consciousness are not experiencing unstable energy. It is creating tension in the central nervous system of the cosmos. Right? Hey, what's banging on my door? See, it's like upsetting the apple cart, rocking the boat, the waters. Now the waters are not calm. Water worlds are not calm. It's turbulent now. Right? There's conflict, resistance, voltage loss, friction loss. The water's not calm here. The atmosphere is not calm here. You know why? Where the consciousness field is the weather itself, which means all the spirit and the consciousness. Everywhere we are, we're experiencing eternal life. So that everyone is experiencing in that world, playing a part in how the physics and the math and the hologram works to experience purity, absolute purity that is just like how would I put this, Mama? It's like it's measuring the purity of the realm by the purity of the energy that is flowing through that realm on every level. You're not experiencing any pure impurities. You know, an input output. That means you're experiencing the purest of light. Everybody's on fire. So that's a pure realm. So a pure realm is all those units of consciousness that are experiencing that realm are experiencing what love is. And none of us are experiencing a difference in that frequency. We're experiencing people that are happy, joyful, and are extremely generous with the amount of love and nurturing that we have to share with others. And those needs to do that come about as a result of trauma, like being a parent would have for their children, so that their children never remember the trauma they once held. So they remember experiencing what love is because that's what it began with. So they don't have any memories of anything other than what love is, because that's what they experience now after every breath that they take. The breath of a living son is experiencing what love is. Have a good night. Be good to yourselves.